Stay tuned and let's take a look at this Marvel Legends Gamerverse. Psylocke versus Thanos 2-pack. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and look at my channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much, much appreciated. Today, let's take a look at this Marvel Legends Gamerverse Psylocke versus Thanos 2-pack. Now, whatever you do, don't say Capcom. Because of course, this is a Marvel versus Capcom 2 tribute. The game came out in the early 2000s. The whole Marvel Legends Autumn program is a tribute to that game with their character selection. There is no other instance in the comics that these two characters, Psylocke and Thanos, would be paired together. So Hasbro are choosing to use their Gamerverse banner instead of the Capcom logo. Maybe it was a licensing issue, maybe they didn't want to pay it, maybe they couldn't get it, who knows? But these characters are Marvel owned, so it is absolutely fair game, as those character designs used in the game were taken from the designs of these characters from the 90s comics. And this Psylocke is an upgrade that the community wanted and that character absolutely deserves. She even comes with the majority of the accessories in the box. Some nice new effect pieces, interchangeable head and hands, and Thanos is essentially a glorified accessory, although in person he does look very nice. So there we have our Gamerverse style packaging with Psylocke versus Thanos. We've got a character image on both sides of the box. You've got the Gamerverse logo up top, but as I said, as soon as you take these out of the box, they're absolutely comic upgrades in my eyes. On the back of the box, you get that sort of training room aesthetic in the background with the health bars, digital render of Psylocke and Thanos, and a little write-up actually that says, armed with her psionic blades, the telepath mutant Psylocke battles the mad titan Thanos. So looking forward to this one, especially Psylocke, so let's not waste any time and get them open. So here we have Betsy and the Mad Titan out of the packaging with their accessories laid out on the table. And to be fair, you do get a nice little bundle of accessories, but it's mainly for Psylocke. Not that I'm complaining, the Mad Titan does come with an interchangeable snapping infinity gauntlet hand with all the gems painted on there like he uses them in the game. I also wanted to point out that we also get a backdrop within the box, which is part of the packaging, but you could absolutely use it in your display or use it for the background of photos, as that is the training room used in Marvel versus Capcom. So lots of you out there will recognize that for sure. Just thought I would point that out. But of course, we're going to take a look at these individually and compare them to all of their versions we have in our Marvel Legends collection, as I'm assuming that is absolutely the best Betsy we have available to us. So let's not mess around like I don't want to look at her first. Let's bring Betsy in to the middle, shall we? As I said, her accessories we will look at a little bit later. But first, let's compare her to what we've got before. So here we have the majority of our Marvel Legends Psylocks. The only one not on the table is the recent Lady Mandarin, but that's a different character design. I'll bring that one in later. All of these are very similar in the ninja aesthetic. The different one being is the Uncanny X-Men version, which is pretty recent, has a very nice head sculpt and the double jointed elbows, which you can't say for the other three. Now, these three are pretty old now. These two originally came out in the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave, and they were actually variants of each other, as the first release had the black hair, the second release had the purple hair, and then you had to switch them round to give them the more accurate outfit. It was a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest, but that was our only version of Ninja Psylocke, essentially. We got the X-Force version in a 3-pack, but it was a repaint of that useless body. So this upgrade is massively needed, as now it looks so much better aesthetically, proportionally, articulation's going to be improved, and that head sculpt is much better than anything we have gotten in the past. So yeah, just initially I wanted to see how she looked compared to the other Psylocks, and of course she looks much better. So I'll come back to comparisons at the end, but I'll keep these two on the table just for a moment, just so I can get the tape measure out. So you can see she's about the same scale, to be fair, as everybody on the table. But as I said, proportionately, she's a bit better. So yeah, just over 6 inches in height, which I think I'm absolutely fine with. That's standard Marvel Legend height, especially for the females. So yeah, let's take these off the table And take a closer look. I've said already that these are the best comic head sculpts we have gotten for Psylocke, and luckily for us, we get two of them in this set. So the first one is a more neutral expression, although she's definitely still mean mugginess with those slanted eyebrows, and Hasbro tend to do a good job with the digital face printing tech, even on the comic characters. Psylocke is no exception. Honestly, she looks really nice. I like the darker lipstick, I like the makeup around her eyes, definitely the most accurate we have gotten to a sort of true heritage as well. So yeah, I like this head sculpt a lot. She's got this sort of slant bit of hair that comes over the front. Otherwise, the hair sculpt is molded in black, but then it's got like the purple highlights throughout the sculpt. So there is quite a lot of purple in there. She's even got the purple tips, and the hair just sort of runs neatly down her back. The head itself is on, I think, a ball joint, so you can get her obviously looking down. Looking up will be a problem though, of course, because the hair runs down the back, but you still got your swivel and your tilt, no problem at all. But yeah, one more look at this neutral head sculpt, and if I pop it off, you can see the purple is actually on the inside as well. Let's bring in the second head sculpt, which is a more angry expression, and she's also got a bit of a windswept hair as well. So this is definitely more of an action pose in battle as well, and it gives you a better look at the purple on the inside of her hair. But yeah, a unique head sculpt for the second head sculpt, again with a purple detail on the hair, and again really nice head sculpt as well with the gritted teeth. So she's got a bit of an angry expression for your fighting poses. I think I actually prefer the neutral pose, to be honest. But again, it's nice to have the options that have two different emotions, so it gives us display options. So there you go. You pick for yourself. You can either have the neutral look or the gritted teeth, hair swept, battle ready look. Let me know your favourite in the comments below. Something the comments usually ask for are more head swaps, so I thought I'd give that a go out the gate. So here's a couple of head swaps. First things first, I've put the Uncanny X-Force head on this new Psylocke body, as that was a pretty good head sculpt, and it works. It does fit on the peg, even though it's a dumbbell. The skin tones are different though. It looks like she's wearing heavy makeup, and her head's maybe a little bit too small, but just thought you might be interested to see. I've also put the new head sculpt on the Uncanny X-Force body, and because the uniform covers most of the skin tone, you don't notice the difference in skin tone, so it sort of works. Again, not perfect, but sort of can work for a little upgrade. And then again, I've used one of the new head sculpts on one of the old ninja bodies, so this is going to be the same problem on all of the previous versions, where she has no neck and also the skin tone is way off. So you're best off swapping these two if you wanted to try anything, but it would be nice ideally to give our previous Psylocke a bit of an upgrade and use the better head sculpt. So maybe you have some options, but I thought I'd show you. So let's go back to our new Psylocke then, and I mean that literally, as her body is newly sculpted from top to bottom. Obviously her articulation scheme is similar to other female Marvel legends like the Black Widow body, but she is newly sculpted, as all of her wraps and straps are sculpted onto the body. Potential reuse in the future for some parts, maybe. I'm thinking Red Electra, fingers crossed, but right now this is absolutely the worthy upgrade that this costume design for Psylocke deserved in our Marvel Legend collection. So let's take a closer look. So she has her one piece on the front. That bout is sculpted onto the waist, even has the little bout, has the X on the bout with the purple and the black. That goes all the way around the waist, sculpted on there. The straps on the arms are sculpted. They even hide the bicep swivel at the top of the strap. I always like it when you can hide the points of articulation within the costume design. They do that same technique down here at the legs. So usually the thigh cut would be up here, but they've moved it down so it can be hidden within the straps of the leg. So that's where you're going to get your cut for the thigh, just a little bit lower down. And even her sort of one piece is sculpted on the butt here as well. So yeah, all of the sort of risen costume design is all sculpted on there, all the way down, completely pinless, double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. Honestly, bravo. Really, really nice. This is absolutely an upgrade we have been wanting. In regards to articulation, arms go all the way up to 90, bicep swivel, a beautiful like butter double jointed elbow, pinless as well, which we love to see on our Marvel Legend females. And she even has a really nice butterfly as well. Like, look at that. No complaints there, going back or forward. Really, really nice. The waist, of course, the swivel is all at the top at the diaphragm. So obviously that's where you're going to get your tilt and a bit of forward and back. Again, nothing crazy, but it's there for sure. And then you get your crunch down here at the waist. So again, the swivel's at the diaphragm, the crunch is at the waist. So that will crunch forward and it crunches back more than forward, to be fair, doesn't it? But decent articulation. Legs go out pretty far, even with her like sort of thick thighs. And again, out that much as well. So yeah, legs go virtually 90 forward. And then you get the double jointed pinless knees. She can kick her own butt as well. So yeah, ankle pivot rocker. So yeah, obviously all the articulation we're going to want for Psylocke, definitely the type of articulation this character deserves. She is like an agile ninja, of course, and you want to be able to do some of her movesets in the game that this is a tribute of. So yeah, looking nice. So let's try those hands. Out of the packaging, she comes with one fisted hand and one gripping hand. So no sets of those, which is a little bit annoying. But the gripping hand does allow you to hold any of the previous swords that came with any of the previous Psylocke. So this Psylocke doesn't come with a sword, but she does have the gripping hand. So she could borrow one from any of your previous Marvel Legends. She also has an actual set of sort of Psylocke double finger pointing posing hands. I don't know what the official name is for these, but they are definitely unique for Psylocke. They look really good. And then we just get one more grabbing sort of gesturing hand. So again, only one full set with those sort of fingers. Everything else, you just get one additional hand for some different poses. It would have been nice to get full sets, but at least we get a few display options. Now, to accompany those hands, Psylocke also comes with some nice accessories that are both comic accurate and also represent some of her move sets from the game. So first we get the Psy Blade, I believe, which is definitely a move in the game and something she does in the comics. So that's just a translucent piece of purpley, pinkish plastic that can sort of hook around any of the wrist. You just sort of hook it around there, and then she can do her Psy Blade attack. A bit of a trademark for Psylocke, she has like that psionic butterfly effect that sort of fits on her face like a pair of glasses, but you do have to sort of pry the hair open a little bit to sort of fit them in neatly so it hugs onto the face. So they won't fall out by any means, but yeah, I'm a little bit scared of peeling the hair back a little bit too much, but it looks good when she's wearing them, again in that sort of pinkish, purplish, translucent plastic. And she definitely has a move on the game where she makes a ton of these flutter across the screen. So again, another accurate effect piece for both comic and the game. These are probably my favorite effect pieces that we get in the box, and it's nice to see something new in the Marvel Legends line, as usually when it comes to effects, it's just a lot of reuse. So these are unique for Psylocke and definitely represent a power set that she does in the game as well, where she spins around with these psionic blades. So it's nice that you can now recreate that in plastic, get her up on a flight stand like I've done here, and she's going to look really nice. So let's get her off this flight stand for a minute and take a closer look at these. So as I said, in the actual game, hopefully I showed you a clip, like she spins around and does that. So very nice, you can emulate that now in plastic. Definitely looks a little bit more fun and dynamic on the display. But I want to take a closer look at these accessories and how they attach onto the hands, as although they look good, they're a little bit fiddly to attach to the wrist. Just like the other accessories, they're a nice translucent purpley pink, and they look unique to each other. They don't look like the same. They've both got a unique sort of mold, but very similar, of course. So how do you attach these to the wrist? Well, on these, there is actually a clip for the wrist. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but there's a clip right there for the wrist. So if you bring Psylocke in, you clip it to the wrist, but then it sort of sticks out on an angle and you can't really get it flush because the hands are too thick. Like, people are telling me that you can slide the hands in like so, but then like it's just still not quite right and it warps the fingers. So unless I'm doing something wrong, it's quite awkward to get it to clip on. But again, you can hide that on the display just by twisting the hands. And again, same with this, there's a clip for the wrist. So I'm clipping it onto the wrist like so, but there's sort of nowhere to really hide the fingers. I've seen The Amazing sort of just clip it onto the hand like that, but then it's very loose. But I guess you could try and make it work like that and just sort of twist it around and then display Psylocke like so. So yeah, a little bit fiddly, but you can get it to work. And there's no doubts she looks really good with them for sure. Before we move on, I just wanted to correct myself, as I've literally just said they attach onto the wrist. Well, it seems that way, but if you slide them up the hand, they will firmly attach onto the pointing Psylocke fingers. So that seems to be a nice snug fit. The same with this hand as well. Instead of using the wrist, I've slid it up the hand and it will sort of fit on on and sort of snugly sits there. And of course you just spin that round. Same with this hand, you spin it round. We zoom out, and now she will tightly and snugly hold the effect pieces. And even with the earthquake test, they seem to hold. So she will grip them on the hand rather than the wrist peg. It was just a little bit of a struggle. So if you're struggling with that, just know you weren't the only one, but just a little bit of patience and you can get it to work. And for our last Psylocke related comparison, here we have the Marvel Legends Psylocke versus the Mafex Psylocke, a very sought after action figure and an expensive one as well. I'm sure a lot of people would have said that was the best 1/12 scale representation of X-Men Psylocke until now. Is the Marvel Legends better than the Mafex? Now, I'm not saying it is, I'm asking you the question, which is the best representation of Psylocke at this scale? There is definitely a conversation to be had there. Now, of course, there's no right or wrong answer. It's going to fall down to personal opinion and your own preferences when it comes to action figures, whether it be proportions or articulation or price point, because let's be honest, the Mafex should be better considering the price point. But this Psylocke is in a 2-pack with a Thanos accessory. Oh, I guess we should talk about Thanos. Now, of course, everybody is joking that this Thanos is just a glorified accessory in this 2-pack, as the main event and the attention is rightly going on Psylocke. But if you don't already have a Thanos in your collection, then this is a very nice figure that's absolutely worth a closer look. So that's exactly what we're going to do. His only accessory is an alternative snapping hand that has all the Infinity Gems painted on there, as he does use them in the game. He's obviously redecoed as well, so he's not exactly the same of anything we've gotten in the past. And in regards to scale, those horns on his helmet take him to just about 8 inches in height. But the head sculpt's pretty good. Let's look. Look at that maniacal smile from Thanos. This is the only head sculpt we get, so he's going to be stuck in a good mood on your display, but it is a very nice head sculpt. I like the big grin, I like the purple skin that does have some nice sculpting and a wash to it to bring out his dodgy chin. He's got the red eyes with some darkness around them, and then the helmet with the horns is unique to this version of Thanos, but it is also accurate to the game as well. So yeah, this is a very nice looking head sculpt for Thanos, undoubtedly, but you won't really be able to swap the heads as the colours won't match on any previous version. And there are more differences than we initially thought. The shoulders are obviously different as well, as now his shoulder pads sort of stick all the way out. His boots are different and his gloves are different to the previous version of Thanos, but I think the belt is the same, and so is the articulation scheme. If I bring in the other one real quick, you can see how the shoulder pads are definitely different. Obviously the colours don't match at all, as it's more purpley on the Capcom Thanos compared to the blue of the regular deluxe. Also, he's got the gold for all of his accents, where this Thanos is definitely more of a burnt sort of orange. And if I bring in the gloves, you can see the sculpt is different on the gloves, and the sculpt is also different on the boots. But of course, very, very similar. The hands are the same, as I said, the skirt piece is the same. But yeah, there are a few differences to this Thanos. And here's a closer look at his only accessory, which is just an interchangeable hand with the snapping Infinity Gauntlet, which again is something that he uses in the game, but it's also very relevant to Thanos in the comics. So of course you could use this in a comic display if you wish. So yeah, he looks good. And here we have our Thanos comparison for those interested. My favourite will still be the deluxe version, as I prefer the colours. I like the blue and the golds compared to the sort of off purple blue and the orange, but I still really like the Capcom version. This old version was originally a Build-A-Figure, and then it got a reissue as a Walmart exclusive, I believe, and that again is like a metallic blue and a gold, and you actually get a King Thanos head sculpt with the deluxe version that I actually use on this version of Thanos, so I can use them both in my display. So I have a King Thanos and then a regular Thanos, and now I've got a Capcom Thanos. So that is how I'm going to be displaying them in my display for sure. But again, although that's Capcom, you can absolutely use it in a comic display as well. It's your display, you create the rules. So I'll throw those two Thanoses on the rotating base for a quick moment, just so you can see them spin round. The articulation scheme is exactly the same. Both of them are completely pinless, single jointed knees and elbows, unfortunately, as they are bigger figures. They've got a crunch on the waist, and they can sit down if you build them a throne, but again, the skirt piece gets in the way a little bit. It looks like the skirt piece on the Capcom version is actually a little bit longer, but similar in design as well. But of course, you can't really swap the heads, as the colours and the crowns are different. different, but obviously the pointing crowns is the biggest difference. The shoulder pads and the crown are the biggest difference, but again, different sculpt on the boots and the gloves, and that's enough attention for Thanos today. So let's wrap up with some comparisons then, and for one last time, here we have Thanos and Psylocke compared to their previous Marvel Legend in their closest outfit, and Psylocke is undoubtedly the upgrade you need for your X-Men collection. Thanos is a nice figure as well. Is he essential in regards to being an upgrade? I don't think so. It's genuinely going to be personal preference. Which colour palette do you prefer? Which version of Thanos' helmet do you like? Otherwise, both great versions of Thanos for your Marvel Legends collection, but that Psylocke is an absolute must. If you do not upgrade her in your collection, you're doing yourself a disservice. As I keep saying, these are absolutely comic upgrades you can use in your display, but if you are creating a unique Marvel vs. Capcom 2 display and you want to use accurate costumes with your Marvel characters, here's a couple you can use out of the gate. We have the recent Cable, who is in his Marvel vs. Capcom accurate costume, and we also have the modular Iron Man, again in an accurate costume. So we're going to get more. There's absolutely a display to be built there with this autumn series, but there's a couple you can use already. And in regards to the Capcom portion, I'm going to use the Jada Toys Street Fighter figures. Now, I know technically, if you want to be accurate to the costumes used in the game, then the Storm Arena versions of the Street Fighter characters are more accurate to Marvel vs. Capcom. But for me, it's close enough. If I do a display like this, I'm honestly using these as comic upgrades anyway. I'm not building a separate display, but it is nice to know you can mix and match the lines, as the scale of Jada works pretty well with Legends. I think Legends still scale a little bit up, but it still works. Got a couple of Hulks. We have the very recent Fantastic Four retro carded She-Hulk. Go and check out my full review on the channel for that one. And then I finally have my hands on the Maximum Series Hulk. Now, I doubt I'm going to do a full review for that because at this point I don't think anybody cares, but distribution is an odd thing and it is finally arrived in the UK, months behind everybody else. But he's here. Here we have two villains that were absolutely on the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 roster. We have Doctor Doom and Omega Red. Remember, we're getting a new Omega Red in a 2-pack with War Machine in this same autumn program. Here we have the Maximum Series Spider-Man and then the Black Widow on the new body. And we say new, but Psylocke is actually completely new. There is no reuse there compared to Black Widow. Similar articulation scheme, but Psylocke's new. And I forgot to show this off earlier, but here we have the Lady Mandarin version of Psylocke next to our new Psylocke. And these are absolutely two solid representations of these particular character designs in the Marvel Legends line. These are up there in the conversation for some of the best female Marvel Legends, full stop period, undoubtedly. But there are still some other versions of Betsy we need. I want first appearance Betsy in like the pink puffer sleeves. And I also want Outback Betsy where she's in her Outback armor. So fingers crossed they're on the horizon, and if they're as good as these, we will not be disappointed. These are solid. Here we have the Build-A-Figure version of Juggernaut, the OG version from like 2016, which held strong in the collection for a long time. But the new version to accompany this autumn program from the Capcom line looks like it's even bigger than this one. So he towers above Psylocke and Thanos here. Wait until we get that new one. It is going to be massive. And I know we're getting an upgrade of Wolverine in that Silver Samurai 2-pack, which is going to work great in the Capcom lineup. But I still think you can use some of the previous versions. So here we have the X-Men 97 version of Wolverine and Cyclops, two characters that are on the same roster. And as always, let's wrap up with some of the Who crew. We have Frogman and Tigra, and then last and never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal Fire Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Gamerverse 2-pack with Psylocke versus Thanos, and although it may not say it on the packaging, we all know this is a solid tribute to the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 game that many people are very nostalgic about. They have fond memories playing on those early consoles or even on those early arcade games, and for me, these are absolutely comic upgrades. Ignore what it says on the packaging. That's just the marketing mumbo jumbo they have to use to justify getting these characters out there again. These are comic upgrades. That is the best comic Psylocke in your collection already, and that's a very nice Thanos accessory. It's a nice Thanos, honestly. If you don't have Thanos, you're not going to be mad at this one, but if you have another Thanos, you probably didn't need it. But again, it's worth it to get this Psylocke. This is absolutely probably the best Psylocke at this scale. Again, it's a conversation to be had. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying we need to think about it. It's a very nice figure. So hopefully everybody who wants one can get their hands on one. Now, you know me, I've got my own sort of review style. I like to take a closer look and do head swaps, comparisons and all that type of stuff. How do these figures fit in your overall Marvel Legend collection? If you want to see these figures and doing some great poses, go and check out Jay Hernandez. Go and check out D Amazing. They're the guys that know how to pose these action figures. I just like collecting these characters and world building on my shelf. But there are more reviews out there if you want a closer look at that good stuff. For me, you know what I'm about, all right? You are in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all of the notification bell, don't miss out on the video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on X at Dan Who Reviews, and I will of course see you on the next one.